Welcome to the Wellness for Women show, where we talk about life, weight loss and everything in between. I'm Faye Caseman, founder of the AAA Way Life and Weight Loss Programme, and I'm here to help you put together the pieces of life and weight loss for one last time. This is an episode of the Wellness for Women show, filmed live in the free Facebook group. So I will dive in. So you'll have to forgive me just looking about, trying to figure out where the questions are. Probably could have been a little bit more organised. Hi. Also, as well, don't forget that there is a little bit of a lag. So if you're joining into it live, I might not get to see it. But let me answer yours, Alice. So basically you asked, and again I've just clicked off of it like a genius, you asked about how do you stop, I'm going to go back and get your exact words. You said, how do I stop myself from reaching for quick options which are often not the healthiest when I've allowed myself to get too hungry? Okay, so first things first is I would have a look at how you got to the point of being too hungry. So in terms of the intuitive eating side of what I teach, it is about looking to try, and it's not about getting to absolute hunger to the point where you are then grabbing all of these things, but it is about being ready physically for food. So we play about with something called the hunger scale. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Let me know because you are watching live. Play about with the hunger scale. So typically you have, if you're going to put numbers to it, so you've kind of got 0 is neutral, you've then got 1, 1 is like you've just eaten but it's not going to sustain you, and a 2 is kind of what you're aiming for, which is basically where you're satisfied. It could probably last you for a little while. So that's kind of the plus side of it. And then you've got the minus side of it. So -1 would be you're just starting to perhaps have a few thoughts, a few little feelings about hunger. A -2 is, yeah, my body definitely saying that it needs physical hunger, that it's physically getting ready for food. So again, you might start to get a few thoughts about food. You might start to get a little bit restless. Your energy might start to dip. You might start to get the feeling of hunger in your stomach. Do need to watch out for faux hunger sometimes, but you'll get to know that when you work on the system. And then if you look at it from, if you go below that, you've then got -3, where again you're starting to get hungry, and -4 would be like you're starting to get a bit hangry, that kind of thing. So you said, yeah, I think that's what I need to focus on, because I either eat out of boredom when I'm probably not hungry, or I'm at the other end of the scale where I've gone hours without eating, but then you're busy with the toddler and you get to the point of being hangry. Yeah. So the whole point with the method that I teach is that you should never feel restricted. So I think we fear hunger in the sense that there's not a lot of us that actually like to get to the point where you actually do feel like, like ravenous and that kind of thing. We don't want to get that far. So some of us are topping up the tank a little bit too soon. Some of us overtop the tank. So again, you think of your stomach like a car. It's all about just filling it up just right, just to keep the energy levels up and everything like that. Because if you go to one extreme or the other, you will start to find that your body gets a little bit out of balance and your energies shift and all this kind of thing. So what you've come up with there is really interesting, because like you say, that you're either eating out of boredom. Well, that's great awareness, and this is the whole point of, again, what I teach is looking to get gather awareness about what is happening with you in your life, your weight loss, that is impacting into the way you eat, the way you show up around food, your relationship with food, and all those kind of things. And again, it's about taking the pressure off yourself. There are no rights or wrongs in this. It's just about building that awareness. And once you've got that awareness, you can then step into action to make those changes. So in terms of your original question about how do I stop myself from reaching for the quick options, well, let's say one is try not to get so hungry in the first place, if you can. Again, life will have its way of getting involved in that. And if your lovely toddler is, demanding your attention, or your family's demanding your attention, it is really easy for that kind of thing to happen. And then you want plan B. So you want plan B for what if I do get over hungry. So I know for myself, if I get over hungry, I'm more likely to want to just grab something quick. So I call them protocols. It sounds more rule based than it is, but it's a case of that I've said to myself in advance, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. So what I'd encourage you to do is to assess what's going on. So again, this is where the accountability part comes in. Just simply have a look at the end of your day, or even, at the end of a meal or whatever it might be, and kind of say, well, what went well? What could I do differently? And if it was a case of that, you'd let yourself get too hungry, again, you might do it over and over a few more times than you intend to, but eventually you will wear a different path. And it is all about reprogramming your brain from what it is used to doing to forming different habits, or at least getting that awareness so that you can start to do that. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if that's making sense. Yeah, so yeah, it's all about, like I say, gathering awareness, taking the action steps, and then looking to hold yourself accountable for it, and just picking off these little small dominoes and changing these little habits as you go along, basically. Yeah, that's great. Cool. Thank you, Alice. Let me know if you've got anything else, by the way, because I've not got vast amounts to go through, and if you're here and you have got anything else that you want to ask, then do let me know, and I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. Trying to run two screens here. So the other things that cropped up, so this week I also popped a post out about what's the one thing that takes you off track with your weight loss, and so it got some interesting responses on it. And so I thought actually I'd just go through a couple of those, really. So one of the members had said about tiredness and time with children. So again, quite similar to what we were just covering there with you, Alice, that ultimately when you're a busy mom, I know you've got a business that you run, and I'm sure that you've got other things in life that are pulling you in different directions. Weight loss can seem like it's one of the easiest dominoes to drop, I think, when we are busy. But it's also one of the things that we have a tendency to make out to be harder than it is. And that's because of the diet industry, ultimately. It's been drummed into us that we have to restrict, we have to train hard, work hard, all these kind of messages that we've had subliminally programmed into us over the years. And so when it then comes to trying to find time for ourselves, we think that it needs to be something big, something mega, whereas actually it doesn't really, and certainly not for weight loss. You can make it easy and you can make it simple. It's just a case of, again, I have this analogy with the jigsaw pieces, which is why you'll see me posting about jigsaws and gems and all these kind of things. And again, it's how, again, the life puzzle, how it all goes together. And so all we're going to do is we're going to get all of the awareness, is just like opening a jigsaw puzzle and getting all of those pieces out on the board. And so you're going to have some that are on top of each other. You're going to have some that are the right way up, some that are the wrong way up. So again, that sorting process, some of it's going to be easy, some of it's not. Things are going to fall on the floor, things are going to get lost, and so I really like the jigsaw analogy for how life and weight loss really goes together. So again, you've got to getting all those pieces out, and again, you then start to turn over those pieces, right? So you turn over the pieces of your jigsaw puzzle, and you know that some of them are the corner pieces, so they're really clear, where they're going to go. They fit at the edges, in the corners, obviously, and then you've got the edge pieces, which are obviously the straight sides, and so again, a little bit more about where they're going to go, and then you've got all the pieces in between. And so again, like I say, just like with our weight loss, some of the bits of life and weight loss and how they go together, some are going to be the corner pieces, and they'll be really quick wins that you can nail down. Some are straighter edges, so they're, again, not so complicated and take a little bit of time. And then you've got all the messier ones in the middle. And so it's just about gathering that awareness, getting the pieces of our life and weight loss out onto the table, and then figuring out where we can start to place them. And again, if you've ever done a jigsaw puzzle, you'll get the piece, you'll have a look at it, and you will say to yourself, right, okay, well, where does that go? And again, sometimes you'll know exactly where it's going to go and what you're going to do. Another time you might be doing the jigsaw with somebody else, and this is where coaching comes in, that you're then going to look to say to somebody else about, I can't see where this piece goes, and so again, you're then going to get somebody else to help you to place that piece. And again, they're all these little action steps that eventually you build the picture. And so again, the jigsaw is like the picture of your life, if you see what I mean, and how it all fits together for your weight loss. So although we may have a situation, and again, one of the models that I use, and I've covered this in the previous live, we cover the model, the life coaching model. So again, you have a situation, this leads to you having thoughts, leads to you having feelings, leads to you taking action or inactions, and then that leads to your results. So tiredness, time with children is all what we'd call a situation. It's only then when you have thoughts about that situation that will define what that could be. So you could have time and I don't have enough time, so therefore emotionally you're going to perhaps feel restricted or something like that. And if you feel restricted, you're going to take actions that are smaller. Whereas if you're just like, I can find some time, your emotion's going to be, depends what it is that's going on, but you're going to be hopeful, you perhaps might find some energy, and then again your actions are going to be different. So again, this is where the life coaching part of all of this comes into it, and where you can literally change from and pivot from one trajectory to another that serves you instead. Then what else have we got here? So so somebody said about the fact that something that can derail them is getting complacent. So actually we can have a situation where we take the foot off the gas, and I think that can happen from a number of different reasons. So that could be because you've gone in too hard too soon, because again, anybody who's ever tried on weight loss, it's all about, right, I'm only eating chicken and broccoli, I'm going to do 5 lots of cardio this week, and it doesn't work. We burn out. But we also can have success can also be a sabotage as well. So again, if you get on the scale of a week and the scale has gone down, you might have a little bit of a woohoo victory moment and feel like, oh, well, I can be a little bit more relaxed this week. I've got this, whereas actually, if you can hold on to those thoughts and emotions, good, shouldn't call them good and bad, but like the ones that serve you and the ones that don't serve you as much, and identify what those are, then actually you then lose that complacency, and again you end up with more stability and consistency, which I know is something that a lot of people have said is a problem for them, is momentum and consistency. And it is about just keeping it easy. The easier that we can make the process, the more joyful we can make the process, the easier it is to sustain. And so, as I say, none of this, restriction or anything like that, as far as I'm concerned, it's about making it a zero restrictive diet. And what you then do with that is that you start to level up. When you're ready, you start to level up. So you never feel restricted because you're only just taking micro steps, but you are always going in that right direction. Somebody then put that that again, life gets in the way and zero willpower. So again, willpower is a funny one, because willpower to me means that you are doing something you don't want to do. And if you don't want to do it, you're not going to want to do it, and you're certainly not going to do it long term. And again, for me, this is all about finding sustainable weight loss. No backsies. I've been there. I've yo-yo dieted. I'd lose 2 stone, put it all back on again, plus some, and I've done that for like 20 years, and I don't want to do that anymore. And so my method is to literally plan what I want to eat, and then I will look to work on leveling it up. I don't look to do anything that I feel is going to make me feel restricted or would require willpower. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you don't at times need to show up for yourself. But if you make it easy, it's easy to show up for yourself. That's the whole point. Okay, we then had somebody else saying about the fact that they struggle because of depression. So yeah, ultimately, ill health of any kind can obviously impact into life and in weight loss. But what I would say for that is that it's still exactly the same process, getting to know yourself, getting to know how your depression shows up and how it impacts you. So I don't think I was talking about it last week, but I know I posted about it, but last week, for example, so I have twice a month, I have a really bad mood slump. It's to do with my hormones. Normally I am bright, breezy and quite upbeat, thanks to the work that I do, if I'm honest. Didn't used to be as much like this. And but then just twice a month, usually ovulation, usually just before my period, my mood and my energy absolutely bottoms out for 2 days. Practically regular, like clockwork. But what I'm working on is accepting the fact that I feel like that, and in that acceptance is where I can let go of the suffering, basically. And so again, it's our thoughts about ourselves, about our ill health, whatever it is, that often will then lead to us feeling a further emotion, taking different actions. And so again, the method is still the same, regardless of whether you've got underlying conditions or not. It's really about knowing thyself, knowing thy life, and how you can put all of that together. Somebody else then said hangovers are something that crops up for them in terms of taking them off track for weight loss. So yeah, now hangovers has got a number of different connotations to it, because obviously, although I don't advocate or say that you need to do any kind of calorie tracking, there's no denying that obviously alcohol does have a lot of hidden calories in it, and it is then for putting energy into your body, because this is all about an energy exchange at the end of the day. So not only have we put more into the body than it probably needed, but then the after effects are that we're feeling groggy, we're feeling tired, you've got the munchies, and so all of these things are going to impact. Now, does that mean to say that we should never have a hangover? No. We've got to live, we've got to have life, but you also might need to decide whether you do want to have as much to drink, or be mindful of it the next day, or do you stop early, or do you just accept, again, because this is the point, there's no right or wrong to this. This is about just making a set of decisions, and if the decision is that you're going to drink, own that shit. Take it, take the ownership of that and the consequences of it if it has some, and then look to say, well, is there something I could do differently? Am I prepared to do it yet? Because I might not be. It is about, like I say, not feeling restrictive. So it's not about going cold turkey on alcohol or anything like that. But when and if you are ready, you can start to make little micro changes again. But again, there's still things that you could do. So again, if you've got the munchies and you're wanting a McDonald's, well, what is it about the McDonald's that you want? And McDonald's are great at offering meal deals. So just because there's a meal deal on the table doesn't mean to say that you've actually got to eat the meal deal. Doesn't mean to say that you've got to eat the whole McDonald's, So there are still ways that you can play about with these things and still have exactly what it is that you want to eat. And then I'd got somebody saying about loving food and having a hard time saying no to it. So again, an interesting one, because I haven't said no to any food. I've lost 70 pounds and I literally eat what I want, and that is no word of a lie. I think I've perhaps eaten 5 salads in the time that I've been losing weight. Now, I decided that I wanted to lose weight my way, and I wanted to literally eat the food. So this is why I know that it's not so much about what we eat, it is more about the when, where, whys and hows. Now, obviously, nutritionally, there is going to be a difference there. So, but again, it's about taking the steps when you are ready to take them, not just going hell for leather at something. And again, this is where all of the other diets, I think, kind of let us down, because they put rules on us. And we don't necessarily need those rules. So we don't necessarily need to say no to things. Sometimes we might do. Again, it's all about choices, you know, but it's also about balance and enjoyment. And this is why, again, this for me is about the mind and body and soul connection to all of this, because, you know, if you feel that you have to say no to certain foods, or that you can't go out, or that you can't enjoy your food because of your weight loss, you're not going to want to do it. And it is a lot better to do something that you want to do and it takes you a longer time to do it than it is to go hell for leather, burn out, put it all back on again and lose self-esteem. And then the last one in there was about food, what makes it go off track. Now, ultimately with food, this is where, again, your relationship with food is really important. A lot of us have got some really jinky relationships with food from years of dieting. We will say that certain foods are good or bad, and that we should or we shouldn't have these things. I mean, I'm in a number of weight loss forums, and there was somebody the other day beating themselves up about the fact that they'd had ice cream. I had ice cream and cream today. I do not feel guilty about that. Back in the day, I would have felt guilty. I would have said I shouldn't eat that, or I'm not allowed to eat that if I was on a diet. But I wanted it. I planned it. I organised it into my day. And so to me, no food is off limit. It's just about learning about your relationship with that food and deciding how you want to show up about that in the future, and then stepping into action to get that done in an easy way with small, tiny, micro steps, and by working on accountability. Now, it might sound complex. I don't know. You'll have to let me know. If you're watching this, let me know if you think that some of that sounds complex. It's not. It truly isn't. But it is what is going to change your life and weight loss journey if you start to work on some of these things, because it is all about finding the joy in the process. And to do that, you have to keep it easy. And so therefore, it's not hard. It really is not hard. And ultimately, I can teach you the tools of that. So if anybody wants to wants to learn these tools, learn what it is that I have, then you just have to reach out and let me know. Okay, dokes, right, I am going to go. I've been watching the Time to Thrive challenge with Tony Robbins. I absolutely love him and his energy. I assume that everybody knows who he is. I don't know. I said to my daughter and she's like, why would I know who Tony Robbins is? But yeah, I was watching him. And again, it was interesting how he was doing this thing. He was getting the crowd. There's like nearly 1 million people watching this Time to Thrive challenge. And he was talking about stepping into your physical self. And again, this is where the mind and body connection for me is really quite fascinating. And again, I did a post about energy the other day, about raising your energy and raising your vibration. So again, if you imagine, again, life and weight loss, how do you feel about it? You know, if you are slumped over and this is kind of how you feel about your life or your weight loss or whatever, you know, you're not going to feel great about it. But actually, if you just, wherever you are now, just sit up tall, stand up tall, just move your shoulders and move it around and just start to let some movement go and just see how different your body feels, you know, within your own capabilities, obviously. And he did this session about this yesterday and he was getting everybody to move. And I mean, I just feel more energized even from just doing this. And again, some of the coaching techniques that I do is about dropping into your body, getting to feel where things are impacting you in your body. If you're feeling particularly anxious, where you're feeling that, and starting to kind of bring it out from there. And I find all of that really, really, it really does shift. It really does shift your thoughts and your energies and your body. So anyway, I am going to go. I'm going to watch these amazing people on my iPad, and I will see you all next week. Any questions, just leave them in the comments, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to boost your life and weight loss the AAA way, check out the relevant links for today's show in the description. Speak soon.